Welcome to AECO Tech Talk, the podcast that explores the intersection of technology, innovation, and the built environment. We'd like to thank our sponsor, AECO Digitech, expert consultation for digital transformation. And now, here is your host, Dr. Johnny Fortune.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode. We have such a wonderful treat today. The one, the only, Mr. Jeff Sample. Man, what a rock star in our community, in our industry. Jeff, I am so excited that you're here today. Thank you for joining. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and I think I'm glad, and so is the industry. There is only one of me. I don't know that the world or me could handle any more than that, but I appreciate the kind words. I am just another one out there fighting a fight with everybody else. So it is really great to sit down and be on the, I love this, be on the other side of the microphone, man. This is the easier way.
You have such a long, successful run with a very successful and far-reaching podcast. And yeah, so you're usually asking the questions. So now we'll put you in the hot seat. I promise it won't get too hot, though. We'll keep it light as always. But man, it's great to see you. Thank you for everything you're doing for the industry, helping promote advancement and innovation. It's fascinating. So you're pretty well known, but we always like to give this to our guests, something about you, just give people a chance to see the person they don't see on LinkedIn or maybe in some blog post and at conferences. So if you will, share a little story or funny story or a fact or something that people wouldn't know about you.
Well, we're gonna go way back because most people now don't actually know why. If you follow me online or anywhere else, and older friends will refer to me as the Ironman of IT. Where did that come from? And it connects back to the podcast itself. If you go all the way back in the day when I was a guest on the Contech Trio, which I still say is the impetus for all of this that we do, Rob McKinney used to ask the same kind of question. What's something people would be surprised about? And I blurted out that in my career, I did 5 Ironmans. So there was a period in time when I actually raced the long distance, 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, finished with a little marathon at the end. And Rob blurted out, "Oh man, you're the Ironman of IT." And literally this whole thing was born right then and there. But actually, I'll hear people say, "Oh, like Tony Stark." And it's like, no, I like to suffer. It's deep somewhere in my bones that I like to suffer. So that is a little fact that the Ironman of IT moniker actually comes from the fact that I raced triathlons for years.
So I did not know that. I kind of, since I've got to know you a little better, I know you're a fit guy, and at conferences you get up like really early and go for runs and swims and all of the kind of stuff while I'm I'm still catching my beauty rest, which I need a lot more of. But so I knew you were a fit guy, but I didn't know the history of that. That's pretty interesting. When I first met you, I thought I saw that, I was like, well, is this Ironman of IT? Does that mean he just kind of does all different type of things? The fit IT guy. But I didn't realize you'd actually been in 5 different events. That's fascinating.
Yep.
And it sounds like you're a glutton for punishment, actually.
I am. Completed 5 full Ironmans. No, I never made it or qualified for Kona, so I'm not fast. I just like to suffer. And but honestly, it came at a time when I needed discipline and focus and flow and all things that now lead into like what I do. It's amazing how little things that you do along the way connect together to things you become good at later.
Yeah, that's a fascinating thing to me, is like to be able to do that training and the discipline it takes, and then and being able to translate that in the industry, what you do in the industry. It's obvious you're a hard worker. You're very passionate about this industry, but can you talk about a little bit of the parallel, some of the things that you learned going through that, that personal journey, and then how you apply that every day still today?
Yeah, it's a great little segue, because that is what it is. You learn a few things while you're training at that distance. And first and foremost is you cannot wake up tomorrow and do an Ironman. It's not going to happen, right? It's going to take a long journey. You have to sign up for it. Even if you're fit and you can do all three of those things, it takes at least a year of training to get there, and it doesn't happen overnight. So you have to really be dedicated to the process itself, learning it and enjoying it, and nobody is good at all three starting out. And you're always going to suck at one of them, to be honest. And I still suck at running. You see me running, it's a jog. You know, I'm moving my feet, but you know, the times don't necessarily think I'm running. So it was something you had to learn, was that it wasn't going to happen overnight. It was a dedication to a process that ultimately ended in racing, you know, being able to do it. And I learned along the way how many people fail doing it and why, and being close to people around the failure and being honest about it. First and foremost is build a great plan when you go to race, but then be ready to change, adapt, and overcome. The plan never goes as planned.
Yeah.
You have your goggles knocked off in the water, the thing snaps, you know, your tire blows while you're riding, you blow a shoe out. By the way, those are all things that have happened to me. So you have to, like, be ready to change it. Be ready to be okay with, like, all right, I had a great plan, but now I'm going to change it. And both of those things go into, like, what I try to preach and teach to the industry is, like, if you want to be a technology enabled, and I used to subscribe to this, like, you should be a technology company that dabbles in construction. I hate myself for saying that, right? Like, I want to go back and, like, don't say that. You want to be a technology-enabled company, and if you want to do that, realize it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a really long time, and you're going to have to train a bunch of muscles you don't want to train. And there's going to be portions of it that, even at the height, if you get there, you're not going to be great at it. It's just not. Yeah. It's not your thing, right?
Yeah, no overnight transformations. Well, that's interesting. It's interesting that you feel like that the running was your weak point. I will say the same thing for me, and like in high school and even lower levels athletics. My baseball career ended when I ran to third instead of first in t-ball. And there was a bunch of yelling and everything's very, very high stress moment. But I was always a slow runner too. Like, so I could run a little bit of a distance, but definitely not the sprint in the sports. And I'll stop with, and I will tell you that I've run some Ks. I won't say how many Ks I've completed, but yes. It's kind of the same. I like the thought though of, like, you know, I believe it was I forget the general that said, you know, no plan outlast engagement with the enemy, you know. And then of course Mike Tyson's version is everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. But yeah, things happen, and we have a lot of challenges in our industry. And so you're right. We can put together a plan, but we have to be able to adapt. I love that insight.
Yeah, and you have to be able to adapt, and I love those too. And the Mike Tyson get punched in the face comes up all the time, but there's this other misnomer too along the way, and I learned this in training really about halfway through my training process, was when things go wrong, I always heard you rise to the occasion. We expect our teams to rise to the occasion. That's actually not true, and a really dangerous thing to say. We actually fall to the level of our training. It is critical that we fall to the level of our training. What does that mean? When my goggles fell off, I remember this, and I remembered it in training, and I did it thanks to the guy who was helping me train. Michael Phelps used to say his coach used to sabotage his goggles, so that Michael had to remember how many strokes it took to get to the end, so that if anything happened, he could do it. It wouldn't change what he was doing. And they didn't talk about it. They did it. They trained at it. So all of those things, I trained at changing my own tires. I trained on what happens if your goggles break. The only thing I never trained for was if my shoe went bad, and that just really hurt my foot in the end, because I wasn't like, what do I do? So we do. There's this misnomer that we rise to the occasion, and we don't. We fall to the level of our training. And that's why you've got to train people. That's why you've got to invest in that time. That's why you've got to do the blocking and tackling. It's why, it equated to safety. Like, it's great to talk about where the safety exit is, but if you don't perform an evacuation once in a while and test yourselves, are you really ready? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great perspective. And especially, it's kind of related to a lot of interest for me is, organizational performance improvement. That's a lot of what I do in terms of helping organizations. And it's a great perspective to understand. Yeah, you do the training, not the night before the event or in the middle of the event. You put all the work in place. So you do have something to fall back to. And it's really great perspective you have, because it puts a huge emphasis on training, on making sure you've upskilled, you're continuing on that journey. You don't just go take one course, on LinkedIn Learning or wherever, and then you know everything you need to know about AI for construction. It's a moving target, and now it's even more challenging for people. And it's, I mentioned AI, and our industry is really trying to wrap our head around AI and many other things, but it's difficult for people as their leadership is like throwing so many changes at them that it's difficult to keep up.
It's impossible to keep up. That's the other thing about it is, what are you keeping up with in the end, right? Like, if you're trying to keep up with OpenAI, or you're trying to keep up, we're not in those races. Our races are different, and we have to set really good goals and really good boundaries as organizations, and then focus on exactly that. Johnny, what's the process? Who are the people? What is the process? What are we using technologically to enhance it? Whatever that might be. And I want people to realize that there are a million technology advancements that you all have consumed over dozens and dozens of years that we've been doing this, and we don't talk about them anymore because they're just a thing, right? Like the IP protocol, which is the thing that runs the internet, nobody talks about it. There was a day and time when we talked about it because we had to, right? Now it's just a thing, and AI will get there too. You hear SaaS on and off now, mainly because people say SaaS is dead. It's not dead. By the way, SaaS was going to kill the desktop. It didn't. Yeah. There's so many things that we're going to kill so many other things, and they're not. They're now a part of our ecosystem. So set your boundaries, know that you can't do it all, and this is critical too, because it goes all the way back to racing. At my best, I think I did it in 12 hours total. If I had tried to pace myself, which I did once, to get in at, say, 10 hours, because I can on the swim and the bike, I blew up. I was unrealistic. So know your cadence, know your what your team can handle, right? Everybody has a level in their organization of availability to adopt new technology, adopt new processes, incorporate new people, know what that looks like, and work towards that as something that's sustainable. That's what agile technology creation, what agile or what we might call lean construction is all about. It's consistency, and consistency creates predictability, and that's what we want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And those, just those incremental changes reminds me of, like the Kaizen way, and basically continual improvement, right? That the smallest improvements that you make, and you can make them stick, really has benefits down the road. Not necessarily, and we do talk a lot about digital transformation, and sometimes when we say the word transformation, we kind of have this expectation that it's going to be like really fast, but like what you've talked about, with your training and relating that to this industry, it's really a lot of those incremental changes, the smaller changes that we make, and we institutionalize them. We basically make it a part of our everyday work. Those are the ones that really start to have an impact, not following just the latest trend,
Yeah, jumping through and saying like, we're going to wholesale replace all of this and do it. Sure, there's certain areas where a system needs to be done that way or whatever, or process maybe, but But you're right, it's incremental change. And, I've said this a couple times recently, and I'm going to keep saying it, is like, it takes a really long time to be an overnight success. Because that's what happens, is it's the culmination of all of that work coming together, being put together, and then delivering a level of excellence you didn't know you could before. But that's all the end user sees, right? That's all the LinkedIn or however you're social mediating it or consuming it. Even if you're reading it, you're reading the culmination of a lot of that work, and realize that there's a lot of effort and a lot of failure and a lot of learning, I hope, in the process.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk to you about conferences and such in just a moment, but we've kind of touched on the AI. So let me ask you a couple of questions about that and just get your perspective. And I'll just very briefly share something that I've been experiencing is like when I go to a lot of conferences and I'm seeing, a fair amount of startups and, different solutions that are using AI, and I'm finding myself question a little bit like how long are some of these going to be in business? Because the more that our industry gets comfortable with AI and people begin to use agents and build some of their own solutions, some of the larger companies, like, is there still going to be a demand for a lot of the smaller companies that basically do just one thing, but they're using cloud services and they're using AI? What do you think about these who are trying to, enter into the construction industry with SaaS, but they're using AI and clouds, and is that, in your opinion, going to be democratized, as we go forward, as it explodes? And what do you foresee in your crystal ball?
My crystal ball is going to bring a little bit of reality to the whole thing, I hope. No, everybody won't survive, but that's been the case all along, right? You can go all the way back in the beginning through technology advancements, and we don't use Windows phones anymore, right? Because they're not a thing. They didn't make it. The Zune was a thing, and then the iPhone came along. There will be a number of them that rise, and in that same sentence, right? I said it. Apple rose, became way more than it ever was from its start. So some will become more than the sum of their parts, and some will go by the wayside for a number of different reasons, none of which are wrong. They're just the way it goes. A lot of them will build really specific, really great sort of siloed solutions to things that will probably be acquired, adopted, copied into others. But we needed to know that the problem was solvable from that perspective, right? I try not to look at actually the technology. I look at the problem and say, is it solvable? Is it worth solving too? Like, sometimes it's not worth solving a problem, right? Unless it's a real pain and a real return on solving that pain. So sometimes it's like, yeah, great, you solved something, but I didn't really need that. So, it goes by the wayside. But sometimes you solve something, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a really huge problem. But then it becomes difficult to monetize it and get it out to everybody. So joining along with another, being acquired, becomes a real outcome. 90% of all startups either fail or get acquired, right? It's 10% that become the unicorns that we know. So just realize that's the case. The other thing that people aren't talking about, but we're going to have to talk about it at some point, they're going to want their money back when it comes to AI. The LLMs, OpenAI, Anthropic, Claude, everybody, they have spent billions and billions of dollars. You guys are out there building their data centers. They're spending billions to build the data centers. You don't think they're going to want a return on that investment? It is coming, and we don't know exactly how, and nor do they, and they haven't articulated it, and I have yet to hear anybody articulate it. So there is that whole thing coming. $20 per month for each of us using what we like, Johnny, is not sustainable to recoup billions of dollars of investment. So there's a moment in time where the rubber's going to have to hit the road, too. And if somebody's got a crystal ball on that one, come on, talk to Johnny, talk to me, talk to the show. I don't care. Get it out there, because I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's coming.
Yeah, we actually just had this conversation last week with another colleague. We were talking about this, and it reminded me of a software company, which will remain unnamed. But yeah, they came out with an innovative cloud piece, I would say a decade plus ago. And yeah, and along with your subscription, you got like so many credits free. And the firm I was working at, I'm like, hey, it's not going to be free forever. They're going to like, this is part of the plan is like, you get to using it and then you actually start relying upon it some. And then the price is going to kick in. So I would imagine we're going to start, we're going to start buying tokens. Like it's going to go away that we have a subscription and we're basically going to, I would imagine is going to migrate to a token use. Like you purchase a certain number of tokens. If you're a heavy user, you're going to be spending a lot on it. If you're not so heavy a user, then maybe it remains economical, but yeah, I agree with you. And I think others in the industry are starting to see the warning signs as well. Like, hey, this is great. It's innovative. We're doing some really interesting stuff, and more importantly, we're doing some stuff that's impacting our businesses. But you're right. It's almost this model is living on borrowed time.
Oh, I believe you're absolutely right, but B2C is a rare world to succeed in. That's business to consumer. So basically, and that's what AI really oddly adopted and got its adoption route from the consumer market because of its ability to be leveraged independently by individuals and its access to creativity that it creates. I think what they're looking for is where will B2B work. So instead of a Johnny who becomes a token hog and has to justify that either to his clients or internally, it's going to become where can we make this palatable for a B2B type solution. So those companies that are building on AI platforms to produce something unique, that's where I think you're going to see it, right? And I don't want to. I'm not calling anybody to the mat on the way they're going because this is how cloud was originally created, right? I was in that same world. I was a gold developer for a company, and I got to use a lot of those early cloud systems the same way for free. And then eventually we were approached for, if you're going to host it here, here's what that's going to look like to you.
Yeah.
And we had to build that into the cost of our products. And that's a fine business. They needed us in there. We need this world. I think the uniqueness is maybe they could predict it, and maybe Sam and Elon and others could predict it, but I didn't see it hitting this hard this fast. But I'm kind of glad it did. We're in a great space and time. By the way, AI does a great thing at keeping notes. Y'all might want to keep a journal on this one. I hope to say I'll be out there and going to my kids and going back in my day. and giving some sort of get off my lawn type talk, but it's a unique time though. But ultimately, too, it is allowing people to do things at a speed that we should appreciate, right? A proof of concept was a long-term thing, and you had to go away and disappear and come back, and now you can do a lot of those POCs really, really quickly, and I hope get to failure sooner. Like I said, there's a lot of things that don't need to be solved. And we spend a lot of time getting to them, and then we try to force them down people's throats because we invested time and money. Yeah. Now we can do it quickly and go, yeah, that was awful. I didn't need that. Toss it.
Right. It's interesting how technology has advanced. And, last week I was at an event and saw a lot of construction technology that's using some AI components and robotics. And I definitely appreciate what the impact it's having, the positive impact it's having on the industry. I'm kind of like you. I'm pretty much center of the boat, even keel kind of person. So I think we're sitting near the same area in the boat with technology and making sure that technology actually improves something. That's, by definition, what a technology is. It makes some level of improvement, but also not just because it's cool or fun or we can do it, but like what is the business purpose and what actually is the outcome. And so I am seeing some of these viral videos about some robotics.
Yes.
One of them trying to surf hibachi and dancing and going haywire. You probably saw that one. And then just not long ago, I saw one where the robot is winning a marathon. Kind of link back to your your Ironman. And I'm thinking this. Okay, I don't really understand what like the purpose of that. Unless they're doing something else. But then saw another one where they're the robot is just making a free throw or jump shot after another, not missing. And I'm like, I just want to get one to wash the dishes and folds the laundry and irons, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, more practical use would be fantastic. But I appreciate the
agree.
perspective of
That
of tying it to
combination
business.
of those two things coming together is key, right? And to your point, like, are we going to be Wall-E, the movie? If you guys haven't seen it, go watch Wall-E. Or are we going to be Terminator? No, I think we're going to be in the middle. But the one caveat I will say about this that I think we saw this in other arenas as well, but maybe not as stark as it's going to be here, is my words of warning to anybody that is a large SaaS or large incumbent right now. Realize that you are on the shakiest ground you've ever been on before because of this. And I don't mean that to scare you off of it and make you pivot or do anything crazy. It's to look inward and to realize that what you are is valuable because of what you've learned. And so there's this software as a service, and I got to give my buddy Trent Leinenbach credit for this one on the Dorkcast, it's service as a software. Right? We now need to look at our customers, at our businesses, at our clients and say, hey, we really know how these processes work and how to stitch these things together. So anybody can come along and do what we do, but you're not going to want to leave us because we know your business as well as you do. And we know it because we know it at scale. We know so many of these other clients out there. I mean, it's why I came to Bluebeam and where I'm at today, because I believe that it's not doom and gloom. I believe it's an opportunity to shift, which, by the way, drives exactly, Johnny, what we've been wanting forever, which is this, I'll call it evolution, because you're right. Transformation comes with words are important. Transformation comes with I have to be different. Evolution means, I adjust a bit, I change a bit. And, to everybody out there, like, I forget, I was my own guy on a show recently who said, listen, if a roofer showed up at your house with a hammer and nails to put on the shingles, you'd be put like, well, that's going to take forever, instead of showing up with a nail gun. Yeah. That's an evolution. That's the person still putting the roof on and putting the shingles on. They're just doing it with these things. And like you said, those robots, like, it's great to see them shoot a basket. That teaches them an articulation of emotion that could be used to wash your dishes. A great one. I just had the DeWalt team with August Robotics on, and they've got one that's a combination of a few things that drills holes in concrete at a rapid pace. Nobody likes to do that. And it's very repeatable. And it doesn't look like a human. It's a big square box, cool looking one. The humanoid, in my personal opinion, is just not something we're really that interested in. But if people don't take a stab at it, they won't learn the articulation and the motion and the integration of artificial intelligence. And when I say that, people are like, oh no, Terminator. Don't think Terminator. Think about computer vision, so I can see Johnny's dish and see where, this morning's egg that didn't get off is a little tougher and I got to get on there. I can use computer vision, which is AI, to realize if the dish is clean or not. These are the combinations of things that come together to create an outcome.
Yeah, that's, great perspective. I still like to see the videos of the robots failing, though. I don't know why.
Oh, I love it.
I find them incredibly hilarious, but...
Hey, listen, we all need some downtime too. And, again, making the robot not scary is watching it fall. I won't repeat what robot it was, but I've said to this day that who knew that pulled pork was going to be their kryptonite, but this pulled pork sandwich fell off the table onto the tile, the thing hit it, and it went nuts because it was slipping. And I'm like, wow. Who knew? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's too funny. Well, pivoting just a little bit, you
Sure.
you have been at a lot of conferences, which I'm glad because I'm at a lot of conferences. I get to see you and we get to chat, and it's always great to see you there. But just want to talk a few minutes about like topics of interoperability. You've done a lot of work with the Construction Progress Coalition and the CDX, which is the Construction Document Exchange. What, am I getting
No,
that right?
it's the Common Data Exchange.
Common Data Exchange. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was
That's
drawing a
okay.
blank on it, but
We
yeah,
will.
yeah. Can you talk about your involvement there and why you've been so heavily involved over the years?
I believe and always have believed that somebody without a dog in the fight is the best place to go to have the fight. So the Construction Progress Coalition that you're referring to, which was originally the PDF Coalition and a couple of other coalitions that came together under Nathan Wood's leadership to really give us a space to, I don't want to call it fight it out, but to figure it out. Right. And it has gone through so many iterations. You know, we've released things over the years that have helped the industry. We've created environments where people have changed their experience of a conference. Like the conference itself has changed. And then the CDX was always meant to be a common data exchange. It was meant to solve the problem of how do we exchange information in such a way that moves the projects forward at the speed they can move forward and removes the friction of the sharing of that information, right? Like that's the problem that we consistently have is everybody in this industry. It's what makes us great and what makes us difficult is that we have so many stakeholders that have so many of their own needs for data and information that drive their businesses, but we also run projects together that have data needs for projects. So how do we create a way to exchange that information in a way that's valuable to everybody? And that was this opportunity at the Construction Projects Coalition to really work on it. And it's evolved into this AEC Integration Summit. So, and that's where we've, I would say we've piloted a lot of new ideas, including the incorporation of design thinking and other play as well. It's where, I've had the opportunity to realize what I was doing wrong over the years. People will see it out there, and I've been challenged on this recently. So you'll see us talk about the anti-keynote, the anti-deliverable, the anti, right? And I feel like people take that as a negative, and it is not. What it is trying to redefine a keynote speech is somebody getting up there and preaching at you and espousing to you. And there's cases for those, and it's needed, right? And product announcements, there's places for it. But as an industry itself, in my time of 10 years of being on stage and doing things and talks and podcasts, the problem wasn't changing. And it was because we were talking at them and not gathering the collective intelligence. So the anti-keynote was born to say, listen, I'm not here to introduce myself or validate who I am. I'm here to engage you in a conversation and challenge you to uncover things as a collective intelligence. That's the greatest thing, right? Is a whole bunch of people together are way smarter than one of us in any respect. And if you're sitting at the table with anybody who doesn't believe that, they're sitting at the wrong table. They need to get out of the room. They're probably great at something, but not everything. So that was the anti-keynote. And the anti-deliverable is this idea that the classic deliverable from these types of things is reports, right? And so there was this idea that, we don't need reports. Yes, we do. We need them. They have a tacit ability to move industries as large and as regulated as some are forward through research, reporting, and continued engagement. But the idea that that's going to help everybody, that's going to get democratized to your point, Johnny, that's wrong. It's not gonna. It won't, because we don't have enough time to deliver on the things that we need to do and then enjoy our lives. And all we're ever trying to do, even with AI, is to say, give me a little bit of time back in my day. Yeah. So the anti-deliverable was, what if we can transform those deliverables into mediums that people can engage with quickly? So it's not about, hey, go read the paper. It's about the paper's important and the paper tells us some things, but hey, here's a configurator that's based off that paper that you can just sit down and use really quickly to get an understanding. If you want to go dive deep into it, great, go ahead. It's there. But hey, we've just created this thing for you to walk away with now, or to engage with now, or to just put out there as a POC and let other people get in and play around with it and harden it from a democratized level. That is the key. That is, everybody has the information. Then the information isn't key. It's how you use it. And that's what we want, right? We need the industry to get to that point.
Yeah, and that's fascinating. You've done a lot of work in planning some of these events and helping these events, not only for the CPC but other events as well. And you've also done some work with our mutual friend. Little shout out to Charlie Dunn, who's really good at interactions and these anti keynotes and anti deliverables. I know that I've been in some sessions with you guys and they've been fantastic. But I think that's what this industry needs, because you and I have talked about this, separately at different times. How that people are kind of conferenced out in terms of just going and hearing the same lectures. And a lot of times people that are going to conferences, they're not even going to the sessions anymore. It's just they're just going just to network and be with other people. I definitely enjoy the workshop approach. Personally, I feel like it's a lot more engaging. When I'm there at those, I see less people on their phone, less people stepping away to take calls or catching up on email. So I think that's where I think you guys are spot on. I think that's exactly where the industry needs that type of interaction. And I think the challenge is, it's what is the takeaway? How do they take it back to their practice or their organizations? And how whatever that looks like, that's an important component, right? Is not just having an annual gathering or see you at the next conference, but it is like how can I actually operationalize this information? Like, take it back to my senior leadership, get something in front of them, engage them, beyond just me improving and then kind of slowly improving the organization. What can I take back to really help the organization as a whole, not just from an individual perspective?
Yeah, and you hit on a couple of things. Charlie Dunn has been completely a huge influence on this. He introduced me to a lot of the ideas and challenged me, and the beauty has been the ability to challenge him back and create something different. Because we started doing this thing. We started doing Lego Serious Play type stuff where these are big bad problems, right? They're big, hairy, audacious problems, right? That we're all dealing with. They're gnarly, but we can have fun in attacking them. And what I have realized is one of the most important things that people can take away from sessions like this isn't what we're doing and how we're doing it, but it's how you feel, right? If you're having fun and you can harness and associate with that emotion, and then you're in the hard things of your work and you can remember that emotion and tie it back, like, hey, when I do this, I have that similar emotion. Maybe there's something to this creative process here where I can use this to think differently through my teams, to think differently through my process. Because I can't use it all the time. I can't go play Legos all the time and have fun all the time. But if I can know that feeling and associate it, then I can use opportunities to dig in. I can also learn to create space. And this is what Charlie taught me is, right, it's not about that I have hard things to do. It's about creating space to analyze those hard things and make sure I'm doing the right things in that hard thing and then go do it. Right. So and it takes a village. Like, that's the beauty of what Charlie did, is the first time we did it, that I did it with him. He then sent me the link to where I could go get all the information to go do it for myself. There's no one of us that's going to do this. Yeah. It takes an army of people that have enough of the knowledge and all of the heart to go do it and just try it.
Fantastic, man. It's I could just have I could have a whole series with you, Jeff, because you're just a wealth of knowledge, and your passion certainly shines through. Just to kind of wrap it up, I hear some themes that really have emerged by what we've talked about. I mean, we've talked about like applying that same discipline that you had to, for Ironman events and competitions to, what we do every day, being disciplined, making sure I really like the middle of the boat, with technologies, not too hyped, not the sky's falling. I agree with you completely. Somewhere between Wall-E and Terminator is reality, is where we'll land with all of this technology and using this technology. But you've shared some incredible insights and some great advice for others, right? About doing the work and having the training to fall back on, and also this strong theme that I hear from you often about really tying the technology use, really tying that to, well, how is it going to transform your business, or how does it meet a business outcome, not just for the sake of trying it out. But in the same sense, you mentioned this with the Lego activity, tapping into that creative side and piece that we all have, and understanding how to translate that into our everyday work is a very, very powerful message. So I really appreciate your time today, Jeff. You're a wonderful guy. I always enjoy talking with you. Just curious if there's any kind of last final suggestions or recommendations or thoughts you want to share with our group.
I will say this, and you said it a couple times in there, is like somebody told me when I was racing, every once in a while when it's hurting, smile. It actually creates these endorphins in your brain. It actually makes you feel like you're having a better time. So when things are hardest, that's the moment in time when you should create enough space to have a little bit of fun, to have the freedom to maybe solve the problem, and to smile while you're doing it. It's hard. It's not easy. But also be true. Right. The one thing I have learned about this industry is there are so many people who have entered in and left because they felt they knew better than the people that are here. And it's not unique to our industry, but our industry is classically kind of treated that way. And I want everybody going into this to realize that the valuable women and men in the field that build the world around us are great at what they do. And this industry is not just valuable, it's transformational. It's the key to our economy. It's the key to our future experiences. And so when you come in, realize that you can learn at every turn. You can provide a lot, but learn at every turn. Give back as much as you take, and it will be one of the most rewarding experiences you can have. Because it has been for me, and I've been lucky enough to do this for as long as I have, and I hope to continue to be lucky enough to do it for quite a bit longer.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jeff. For those who may not know, and I would feel like most of our audience would, but you are leading the Contact Crew. Is that right? So Contact Crew, they can find that on all their podcast subscriptions, as well as YouTube channels, across LinkedIn. A lot of different ways to connect. It's a great show. I would encourage anybody to go check it out. And then also like and subscribe to this channel. So we're on YouTube for the visual component, and then we're also across all of the audio-only podcast. So again, thank you to our audience for tuning in. Thank you, Jeff, for coming by today. Wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks. See you out on the road.
Thank you for listening to AECO Tech Talk. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you get your podcast. We'd once again like to thank our sponsor, AECO Digitech, expert consultation for digital transformation. For more content, including video versions of our interviews and other exclusive material, check out our YouTube channel. Just search for AECO Tech Talk.